apparently Utah is moving away from 2 stickers.
Just like every other state?
Yep. It's all on 1 sticker now. Monthly.
Makes it easier for someone to rip off. Alrighty then. My mic working? Yeah. Look. Oh, wait. Maybe. Check. Oh. It would help if I unmuted myself. Yeah, it would definitely help if I unmuted myself before I started, before I start talking. Welcome. Another Thursday's beginning. We usually run our D&D stuff on Thursdays. So, I mean, I got no prep to do, which means I kind of get to do what I want today. So I'm like, let's get into the 2024 handbook. We went through the 2024 player's handbook. Now let's go through the Dungeon Master's Guide. We already went through a part of it last time. We went through the first chapter. And sorry if my I'm a little distracted over here. I'm still getting the stream set up and running. There we go. All right, let's get into this. So, chapter 2, running the game. Oh, let's see what kind of words of wisdoms they have here. And I don't know if I'm trying to be sarcastic or not, but yeah, let's get into it. All right, building on the basics laid out in chapter 1, this chapter goes in more depth on running a D&D game. Okay, now your players. Well, your player's role is to create characters, breathe life. Knowing what your players enjoy most about the game will help you. Okay, yes, one of acting, exploring, fighting, investigating. So players who like to instigating. Not sorry, I don't have my glasses today, so if I read something wrong, it's on me. But yeah, I don't have my glasses today, which means I'm gonna misread some stuff. Um, it's all looking kind of fuzzy. Players who enjoy fantasy combat like the excitement of battling villains and monsters, thrive in situations that can be resolved in combat, favoring bold action over negotiation or investigation. Yep. I would say, let's see, knowing it's rare together to all enjoy the same aspects, the trick is to find a balance. Yep. Okay, so this is all getting into something interesting. The different kinds of players. Magic breaks it down pretty well. You've got a bunch of different kinds of players, whether that be power players, role players. Um, D&D does the same thing. I've got a party who loves fighting and investigating. So my campaign is very focused on that. What it's getting at is, hey, we have all these options for gameplay styles and table styles. Pick what's best for your players. And of course, as a DM, pick what's best for you. If you're not interested in high level politics and investigating corruption, that's just not something your brain clicks to make a mystery out of. Um, don't do it. It's very simple. Like you have to understand what you like about the game and what you like to build about that game before you can really get your players involved because they run the show at that point. Um, there I've said it forever. You have the power to make the mission a heist. This is a joke from online. You have the power to make the mission a heist. Your players have the power to decide if that heist will have the Benny Hill theme or the Mission Impossible theme, and they will always choose the Benny Hill theme. Now, players who like to instigate action are eager to make things happen, even if it means taking personal perilous risks. Yep. Players who enjoy optimizing their characters' capability, like fine-tune their characters for peak performance by gaining levels, new features, magic items. They're welcome any opportunity to demonstrate their character's excellence. This talks about problem. This goes into optimization. Goes into problem players as well, because problem players they disguise their some of their problems with optimization. Oh, my character's just optimized. No, you're running a fighter. You're running a pallet lock. Knowing some builds helps to kind of stop that a little bit. Wow, they just going through all of it. Problem solving, socializing, storytelling. Whoa, you are just getting at all of it. Wow. Storytelling. Want to contribute to a narrative. They like to. Yeah, okay. I'm a storyteller personally. So, like, this is funny because you could create a. Hey, oh my gosh, I just threw that off the side. You could create an entire, like, chart, alignment chart based on this. What kind of player are you? For instance, I am an acting, fighting, and storytelling. Oh gosh, this is being difficult. But it's good to kind of break out. There's a ton of more different styles here, and so to kind of seem like they're making a comprehensive list, I think that's detrimental to the book. But hey, if it works for them, it works for them. Group size. Rules published adventures generally assume 4 to 6 players. Yes, DC assumes 4 players of that level. So if you have a DC 3, it assumes 4 players of level 3. That's standard difficulty, and they'll probably get into that a whole lot later. Small group contains fewer than 4 players, might find combat encounters difficult if the party lacks important capabilities. Yes. Don't be afraid to throw not just you can compensate by reducing the number of monsters in a combat encounter or giving the party resources they need, such as healing potions. Or if you have experienced players, let one of them pick up an additional character or design for them a sidekick to go with them, somebody to fight alongside them. DM controlled adventures. You can make an adventure character of your own, sometimes called a DMPC. This is a rewarding way to. No, 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 no. You're not encouraging a DMPC in this book. Are you kidding me? Oh. Let's just pretend I didn't see that. You are not encouraging a DMPC. Like, what are you thinking? Oh, no. Oh my gosh. The whole thing is just messing up. Wow. I am not having a good time here. My entire system just decided, nope, I hate it here. You can make an adventure character of your own, sometimes called a DMPC, a dungeon master player character. Why are you encouraging this? This doesn't create good gameplay. DMPCs are not something you want in your campaign. They ruin agency for your players. You're playing. You will always favor yourself. There's no way you don't. This is how I do this, and this is how I recommend do this. Design your DMPC. Create him. Roleplay him. Have another player control him in combat and outside of combat. I have a character named Bobby in my campaign right now just because we needed to fill out the roster. He's a ranger. Guess what? If people want to talk to him, I'll talk, but he's not going to take a role in anything. He's not going to role play with somebody unless they initiate. And then in combat, he's run by one of my other players. They actually alternate who controls Bobby. Do not put a DMPC in here because you have complete control of the campaign. It Be sure to keep the players in the spotlight and don't take away player agency by having your character make decisions for the group. This is the problem I see with DMPCs. We all have, like, if you have seen RPG horror stories at all, half of them have a DMPC involved, because a DMPC is a red flag for saying, "Oh, we need somebody to kind of steer the ship." No, let the players steer the ship. It can cause a whole lot of problems if you just put a DMPC in there. You can add non-player character NPCs to the adventuring parties. NPC stat blocks from the monster manual to represent their supporting characters. If you don't want to run, okay, this is because this is a new book. They're not. Yeah, DMPC is crazy. Don't do it. I can't believe they're recommending it. This is ridiculous. Like, holy cow. I know they're just trying to be like, oh, in smaller groups you can do these, but the fact that it's the first thing, unless you can run it properly. And the best way to run a DMPC properly is to run them as an NPC party character. They're not the main character. They're just there. My players love Bobby. He never does anything. In combat, he fills out that support role. He's got some cool stuff. But other than that, let the players have control of the character. I know they're recommending building, like, using the NPC stat blocks in the books. We'll take a look at those as we get further in. But players with multiple characters, one or more player players can play two characters. Running two characters is a challenge. What I recommend doing for that, players who want to run dual characters to fill out their roster, have the two characters be linked so that it seems like there's a reason they're working together so well. Maybe they're partners in crime. Maybe they're a duo of fighters, and it's like, okay, yeah, no, these people are, or a cleric and a fighter. One, that can create some funny moments. Two, that allows for the for how close the players fight together to come through. Dealing with small groups isn't that hard. You can always just reduce the difficulty. I recommend using, oh, hey, Frodo! Over on Twitch, we've got Frodo chatting us up. He's not missing this one as we're going through the DMG. He's one of my players. He finally gets to sit in on a Thursday session since since I'm usually prepping my campaign. But yeah, this is crazy. Like, how they recommend dealing with small groups. You could just adjust the difficulty of the encounters, and the best way to do that, I say this all the time, and honestly, I wish I was sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by them. Kobold Fight Club. Kobold Fight Club. First rule is yip yip, but it's a great tool to help you balance your encounters. I balance all of my encounters through it. You just input character levels, how many are in your party, and it'll adjust the difficulty of the missions for you. Well, not adjust them. Sorry, it'll define the difficulty. So if you're like, okay, I'm gonna put 5 Sahagin out, it'll say, oh, for a party of level 11, this is gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience. But if you're like, oh, they're level 10, they can take a Tarask, it'll say, no, this looks like a bad idea. Large groups. Let's just move right on to the large groups here. The biggest consideration of large groups are maintaining order at the tables and keep combat from becoming too slow. If you're having large groups, I recommend, first things, I'm going to talk about this when we're speeding combat. Consider having a party designate a party leader. Fun fact, most parties do this anyway. There's usually somebody who kind of keeps everybody organized. That person can usually take over this leadership role, where they're like, we're gonna chat it out, but when we make a decision, I'll let you know we've made a decision. That definitely helps speed things up. I'm like, okay, please cap your tables at like 6. Please cap your tables. I understand that there are some circumstances where you can't cap your tables, but things get out of hand really fast with larger parties. And they're not talking about what a large party consists of. They say generally assume 4 to 6 players. This must be anything above it. I'm thinking 8 to 12, which is ridiculous. 8 to 12 is a ridiculous number of PCs to be running and characters to keep track of. I recommend not doing it. Split. If you have 8 players, split your table, go 4 and 4. Either get a new DM to run one group and then you run, or set up 2 separate groups. If that's not possible, please, you're gonna have a rough time, especially because this is all supposed to be for new players. The DMG is supposed to be referenced for new players, and they're getting into large groups and how to run them. It's like, please don't run large groups. Party limits are there for a reason. Speed in combats. Players who have to wait a long time between their players' characters in combat are susceptible to distraction. Be generous with information. If you tell your players what the armor class is, do not do that. If your players figure out the enemy armor class, that's fine. Don't just give them the armor class. That's it. That's part of the information. Part of the battle is information. How much information do your players have? Have they figured out how tough its AC is? Have they kind of got a grapple of how dexterous or how much constitution it has through their spell casting? That's just part of getting the information. Like, giving out it, but just handing them that information, I don't recommend doing. That may speed up combat, but that hurts the immersion of the story. Let's see. An attack, instead of telling you a number and asking, simply tell you that an attack hits and how much damage it deals. Yeah, that's the benefit of it. If you're like, for instance, we've got Frodo here, so I can make fun of him. He hits with a plus 13 right now, plus 9 or plus 13, something like that. Which means most things, it's like, is that a hit? Probably. Go. Indeed, make thy fun. And this lets them determine, okay, how, like, slowly through the fight, figure out, okay, do we switch to spellcasting? Do we switch back based on how heavy its armor class is? If no one can hit the thing, they're going to switch to spellcasting. Fighting Spirit, go burr. In the same way, if you know each character's AC, you don't need to ask whether a monster's attack hits. I'm guilty of this, but you're also just asking the DM to keep track of more information. I know behind the screen what you can do is just keep a tab, like keep a notepad with everybody's AC, but that's kind of difficult to do with large groups, because this is meant for large groups. Help players keep up. If a player isn't sure what to do their turn in combat, help the player decide if offering a quick recap of the state of battle, how many foes are standing, how hurt do they look, immediate threat to that character. People should be paying attention. I know if they're not sure what to do on combat, I recommend. I say this to all of my players. When a fight breaks out, I say, "Hey, you have until your turn to go, to think about what you're going to do. Some things might change. I give you a balanced encounter. My players have plenty of time as the battle changes to think, but I set a time cap on the fights. It's a joke from one of my old players. We call it active time character system. It's a joke. So in the case, Frodo's here, so I'm just going to make fun of him again. If Trix was here, or Zook was here, or any of my other characters were here, I'd make fun of them. But he's here, so I get to use him as our worst example. And he just gets to sit through it because I'm the DM here. Sorry, I just gotta check something real quick. Okay. But yeah, so I call it active time. So what happens is I give them about 20 seconds to kind of think about what they're gonna do, and then go, okay, active time Frodo system, active time Wanderer system. And I'm like, and at which point that means you have about 10 seconds to give me an idea of what you're going to do. Not make rolls, none of that, but tell me what you're going to do. 'Tis what the fighter is made for to be a DM punching bag. Yes, this gets into the other problem with big groups. Ban fighters. I know it sounds very aggressive, especially if you're lower levels, you can allow these things, but you do not want characters with a lot of attacks going on at once. At upper levels, it's just too hard to track and takes too long. Even right now, I get to get mad at Frodo again because he has like 5 attacks or 3 attacks and rolls out the wazoo. So rolling multiple attacks just takes a little bit. So you got to be aware of that kind of thing. It's a timing thing. Make sure they're either very fast with their rolling, or they won't take away from the combat encounters for everybody else. Make initiative obvious. Display the initiative order to your players. Yes, I do that. Everybody should do that. Have some way of displaying your initiative. I play on a VTT, so I have just an initiative clock up. That's just like, okay, everybody's now roll handfuls of dice. Encourage players to roll the dice for their attacks and their damage dice. I don't know how I feel about that one. I do not know how I feel about that one. To roll their dice for their attack rolls and their damage at the same time, you can do the same. As a DM, you can do whatever you want. You can do the same. Don't let this book tell you. These are merely suggestions. Structured turns. If you find yourself in a situation where individual players are having trouble getting a chance to do things during exploration or social interaction. Frodo says 3 attacks normally at advantage, 6 if action surge, and hasted 9. All 3 can have for all there, but can only happen once. Yep. He has a ridiculous... My fighter... This is Frodo, by the way. Frodo, by the way, the people on TikTok can see your chat down in the corner. They are saying, hey, he's talking about his fighter. He's currently, what, a level 11? 3 attacks, 6 with action surge, 9 when hasted. It's pretty ridiculous. And that can take up a lot of time. So you gotta make sure your players are quick with it. Fighters have like no time in a large group. I give fighters like no time because they're gonna do one thing: they're gonna attack or they're gonna run. Bellow TikTok. Yes, Frodo says hello to everybody over on TikTok. Oh, my coffee! Shit. Oh. Do I have a towel? 1 second. No, the coffee hungers. I'm gonna have to wipe this down.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Other than a poor Xbox controller. Mission failed. We'll get them next time. But yeah, where was I? Structure turns. If you find yourself in a situation where individual players are having trouble getting a chance to do things during exploration, have the characters roll initiative and act in initiative order just as you do in combat. I do this anyway. So one trick that I use, and this is where Frodo's learning, what are tricks that I use to keep everybody engaged and are just things I've learned as a DM. Still cleaning up my coffee spill. I do this. I go person to person. Whenever I'm in like an exploration system, I first I ask, hey, what do you guys want to do? And then if everyone's kind of, what do we want to do? Do we want to do this, that? I then go person to person. I go, okay, Wander, what are you going to do? Trix, what are you going to do? Zook, what are you going to do? I ask them, hey, what are you guys doing? And going person to person helps to keep people engaged, but it can also just be a quick way to go, oh, what is everyone doing? Oh, you're doing this, and you're doing this. Perfect, let's go. It's just a quick way. I have a smaller group, so it's easier. Larger groups are going to be kind of the same way. Running in initiative order is a great way to do it, especially with investigative things. I recommend hard, like, complex trap running in initiative order, things like that, but we're... Absent players. Oh no, we're getting into some of the more difficult stuff. Now they're talking about the true villain of D&D, the scheduling. My fallback is always active perception checks. If I don't know what to do, always helps, even if there's nothing but a chair in the center of the room and nothing else. It's true. Like, as a player, you can develop these tricks as well. You develop tricks, okay, well, I don't know what to do. What can I do? Well, I can always make a perception check. I can always look around the room. You can always do those kind of things. But yeah, now the book's getting into our favorite, one of the most complicated subjects of D&D, the fact that players are absent. When one of your players is absent, what you do with the player's character, consider the following options: fading into the background, narrative contrivance, substitute player. So, a lot of times, here's what I do, and my players have a lot of experience with this, and you can adopt it, you can fight me on it. I don't like players fading into the background, because a lot of times my players will ask, hey, why aren't they helping? Like, and then kind of want to push for me to have control of it. Scheduling is its own nightmare fuel for both DM and players. It's true. I've got my own like section of our D&D Discord called "The Real Enemy of D&D Schedules." Um, I don't like players fading into the background because it creates some problems. The only times I kind of have players fading into the background is if they're mid dungeon and a player misses. Um, Narrative contrivance is the best way. What I usually do is at the beginning of the session, if they're in town and they're getting ready to head out, I say, "Hey, this character wanders off." And then next session, when that player is back, I ask that player, "Hey, what did your character do last week?" This was a way for me to kind of keep something that they're talking about in there without breaking anything. Substitute player, when narrative contrivance is the easiest way. Sometimes they wander off. Maybe they gotta go to the church for a little bit. Maybe they got to report to their patron. Maybe they've got to do other things, and they talk about that in there. Come up with game reasons for the character to temporarily leave. I let the player character determine that. I have general rules. If you tell me you're going to miss a session beforehand, I'm just fine. I'm going to have you kind of explain what your character was doing. If they're gone for more than a week, I'll say, hey, you have this much downtime. It's the meme of the kid doing the peace sign fading into the back whenever a player's missing. When a player's with the absent player's consent, have another player run the missing character, or run the character yourself if you feel like whoever runs the character will need a copy of that character sheet. I don't recommend substituting players. Do not substitute players, because what if that character dies? What if you get into a fight and you do everything you can, but that character dies? That player just missed a session and lost their character through no fault of their own. I do not recommend, absolutely do not recommend substituting players. Narrative contrivance is the best way. Fading into the background is the easiest. If somebody misses and you're all in the middle of the dungeon, sometimes they just need to fade into the background because you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. Because where else are they going to go? They can't just wander off. Why are they leaving the dungeon? If they're with the group and maybe they're kind of too weak to fight. We did it where one character, they were doing this big travel session and one character was just drunk in the back of the wagon the whole time. I'm just like, you guys bought a cask of alcohol before. He's just hammering into that. And that's just narrative contrivance. Maybe it's not that they're gone. Maybe there's a reason they cannot be active. Give the absent player characters the same XP that the other characters earn during each session, keeping the group at the same level. I always have them follow the party, but don't engage in conflicts or just leave them in town. Aaron, that is a great way to handle it. Like, leave them in town or have them follow with. Maybe they're setting up camp. Maybe they're following behind, making sure nothing's approaching. It's like, yeah, have some reason they're not engaging in the fights. Like I said, sometimes I make characters too sick to fight. One character literally getting drunk in the back of the wagon while the rest of the party charmed a hydra and had it follow them like a puppy for a few minutes. Wow, D&D is weird. But yeah, give absent characters the same XP that the other... No. Okay, here's the thing about this. Give players the same XP the other characters earned during the session, keeping the group at the same level. You should be all right with different levels. If players are missing constantly, don't reward them for that behavior. Don't give them the same XP. What I do is if a player is missing, when a player is missing, and this is just what I do. Let me know what you guys do. When a player is missing, what I do is if they let me know beforehand, if they let me know, hey, I have this coming up, I can't make it to the session. If they gave me, I'm not even like 24. If they give me a 12-hour notice, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. That's fine. when they come back, I'll say, hey, and we gave the Hydra all the carrot could ask for. All belly scratches and chin scratches. Yes, they treated a Hydra like a puppy, and it was hilarious. I don't recommend giving them the same... Well, sorry, back to what I do. Sorry, wow, Frodo's really back and forth with me. Yeah, have them there, but give them something to do, like grab wood or guard the carriage / road. Yep, exactly, Aaron. Give them something to do. And a reason they don't fight. You're a few. I think there's a slight delay. I think there's like a 10-second delay or something. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, so where was I? XP. My players give me a notice. If they give me a notice, I tell them, hey, you missed last session. What was your character doing? If they're in town, or the player started in town, I go, hey, what was your character doing? And if they give me some story about what their character did, I give them the XP. I'm like, oh, okay, you're still involved. I'm like, or I give them a portion if it's like, oh, yeah, I had this going on. And it's like, oh, cool. I reward them for creating their own stories. And still engaging with the story. It doesn't have to be some rambling, I went out and I slew a dragon. No, it's like, look, I was sick. I went to the temple to get healed. I met a priest. And sometimes I'll have characters from that come in. Just help them engage. Yep. Camp watch is probably the best thing. If they're going inside a dungeon, somebody waiting back at camp. Beautiful thing. Incorporating some groups like to work out a policy regarding how missing players need to proceed. That's just group to group, DM based on comfort. Yeah, consider playing a short adventure with different characters. I do this as well. We do mini adventures if players can't make it. When we had our party of 6, because if we remember, we started as a party of 6. And when we had too many players miss, I would do a mini adventure. My players would have a shopping episode, or they'd have some little side quest to go on for one of their characters. I think the most interesting thing is they were in the Underdark, and most of the players had to miss, except for 2, and I'm like, I can run something. And we ran a mini dungeon up a small ziggurat in the Underdark for an item. And it was story-based around those characters, gave them a chance to shine. You can do that kind of thing. Little sessions. My players got arrested by some guards at the end of a session, and he visited them next session. Easy. Oh, that is great. Oh, that is great. That's how you do it, Aaron. Now, when incorporating new players, when introducing a new player to the group, revisit the expectations and limit. Yes, if you're bringing somebody new into the group, make sure you have a mini session 0 with them, where you discuss, hey, here's our limits, here's our session 0 stuff. To the point made earlier, I do the same / similar with missing players, though if my players solve a puzzle or survive an encounter or person isn't there, they ain't getting XP for that. I try to keep all my players near the same XP if I can. Yeah, in longer campaigns that does fall apart. You guys were all intended to be the same level, and now we have, a level 10 and level 11, somebody bordering on level 12 just because he has never missed a session. Yeah, XP's a wild thing. No XP for that character if they ain't there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not out here, like, directly punishing the players. I'm just saying, hey, why are you getting the same XP everybody else is? It's not fair to them to have to fight a harder encounter and then you still reap the rewards for that. What you could do is this is an idea that I kind of played around with, thought about. If you balance your encounters for 4 people and then only 3 people show up, the XP split between the 3 people is the same. You just give them the XP as if it was 3 people, and then that person gets the XP as if there were 4, as if they were there. You could do that. That still punishes them where they get less, or rewards the players who were there, but still keeps them around the same, although that does get out of hand, though, if someone is gone. Yeah, try not to... This is why milestone works very well. Try not to have major XP gains when somebody is gone. I think was it Trix? Yeah, he's so behind because he missed a fight with a green dragon. One of my players missed a fight with like a fight through a green dragon's lair, and now he's still recovering. We're at the point where a couple thousand XP doesn't matter as much. If I have that character do a side job and give them a level, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to have a way for Trix to get a level up, to get everybody kind of back on the same track, because it is kind of rough. I'm gonna look through his character sheet and see how close he is to getting on everybody's level. Wow, where am I? There's just a lot in here. Guys, this is only chapter 2. This is so dense, and I'm already like, there's so much here. Incorporating new players. When introducing a new player to the group, revisit expectations. Turn 0. Have a turn 0 with that player. Then have the new player create a character who is the same level as the other characters. Yes, I've seen DMs who don't do this, who say, hey, we started at level 3, roll up a level 3. Do not do that. As a DM, everybody, like, if somebody new comes in, have them roll up the same level as everybody else. If the new player has never played D&D before and the rest of the group is higher than level 4, consider taking a break from the campaign and having everyone play a new level 1 session or 2. Catch them up. That's a good way to do it. I think I'm going to have to do that. I don't think Trix would mind. There's a lot of story threads going on that I can pull into. If the group is higher than level 4, yes. So, incorporating a new player, especially incorporating a new player. I do not recommend incorporating a new player mid-campaign. They make a good... I've been talking about the bad. I finally get to talk about some of the good here. If the new player has never played D&D before and the rest of the group is higher than level 4, consider taking a short break from the campaign. Take a week. Get to a stopping point of your campaign. Say, okay, we've got this new player who wants to play. Can we run a couple one-shots? Can we run quick fan delver? Can we run something very fast to get them integrated? And I mean map 2 for the whole world, so I'm going to use it. Brother, I have created a whole world, and I mean map 2 for the whole world, so I'm in that boat. I have a massive world, and I am gonna use it. My players have seen this campaign. My players started on the Eastern Continent, wandered through the Eastern Continent, across the Central Sea, up into the Northern Feywild continent. Sorry, if I look like I have to like get into my getting close to my like stuff to read print, it's because I don't have my glasses today. I also have a home rule, but haven't had the chance to implement it. How it works: if someone misses multiple sessions, they don't get XP like the rest, but I do reward XP modifiers for that person if they afterward consistently show up to sessions, make up for missing out. That can work. I plan for extra stuff to do just in case. I plan for extra stuff all the time. It's amazing. I've got so many, like I said, I've got so many threads in my world. The text do be small. It's not that the text is small, it's that I am blind. Yeah, it's that I'm blind without my glasses. I forgot them at home today. Yes, so back to incorporating new players. I recommend if you have somebody who wants to play, run a quick couple sessions. Be like, okay, let's get you in, understand it, then roll up the new characters. Do not. There's a cap to this. I do not recommend incorporating. When I say new player, I mean new player. Somebody who hasn't played. Do not put them in a session above level 7. If your characters are above level 7, you are going to overwhelm them. There's so much going on, so many capabilities of the players. You need a lower level campaign for them. And don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, my campaign unfortunately is not for new players. I had to say this to my party. There were some people who were new that want to play, and I had to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, my campaign is not for new players. I'm running a very difficult campaign. I'm sorry. The next time I start up a campaign, you're very welcome. But for right now, I had to close my session and be like, the game is very difficult. And that's because I do run very hard encounters. 3 continents, 9 countries, 16 provinces, and 28 cities. You don't want to have this measuring. 4 continents, 12 countries. Each continent has at least 10 major cities. Each country, sorry, has not 10 major cities. Each country had at least. Dude, my world is so big. I'm gonna have to pull it up. This is ridiculous. There's so much here. But yeah, you have a big world. Play with it. My players have gone all over the place. In fact, they're retreading ground in areas in the last campaign, and it has been a beautiful moment as a DM for me to be able to bring up all this old lore that's like, no, this country has a lot of history to it. Unfortunately, the players were involved in some of that history, so there's like little references here and there to like events that happened in the last campaign, and only one player's played in it, so I don't expect anybody to get it. It's just kind of like history that's being dredged up, and one of my players is just losing his mind. If you're incorporating a new character into the group in the middle of an adventure, work with that player's character to come up with a story hook for how their player character joins the group. Yes, they need a reason to adventure with everybody. Why are they joining this party? They can't just be in it for the money, because if they're going after a world-ending threat, why aren't they picking an easier job? Rescued prisoner, sole survivor. Long lost friend works. It gives you a tie-in to some of the other characters. I kind of like that. That gives a very good tie-in to other characters, which is nice. Rescued prisoner creates a power dynamic that you may not want, where the player feels indebted to the rest of the party. I don't actually recommend that. Sole survivor, the new character is the soul of an ill-fated group of adventurers. The new character might be able to offer a clue to the party to avoid the same grim fate. Oh no, Frodo's back to talking. I'm glad that in my campaign I'm only dealing with the Sword Coast map of Lost Mine and one city, not counting town, villages, tribes. Even my campaign is heavily homebrewed to make it interesting and fun. It's definitely not as big as most. But you're running Phandelver. That's the thing. You're running Phandelver. Are you running like Phandelver and Beyond? Because there's that core book. Just plan on expanding it for future. Yes. I use something called Wonderdraft for my mapping. I use a program called Wonderdraft for my mapping. It's a really good program. If you haven't seen Wonderdraft, it is a beautiful mapping software. It is not free though, but it's a one-time purchase. So I bought it and was like, yes, let's go. Haven't done that yet. Much bigger than OG Lost Mine. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what Phandelver Beyond was, or the Obelisk, the Shattered Obelisk is what I think Beyond Phandelver is what I think it was, is supposed to be the like larger campaign setting for Phandelver. Being built, wars cause. Look, history in fantasy history is so much fun for me. My players know I go ham on my history, and if you like. My sessions are ridiculous with history because there's a lot of historical context, and I need to move this over so people can see. It's just one of those things where I'm like, oh my word. Like, I'm a history buff, so I can be like, yes, we can talk history of fantasy wars. We can talk strategic advantages. We can talk like, oh, this is how this religion has evolved and how this country has evolved. So the region that they're in is occupied by the Star Elves that have come to the material plane. This isn't any story. This is like background stuff. The funny in my homebrew world, the Star Elves invaded the material plane from the astral, took over a country, fought a war on that continent, lost due to some complicated shenanigans of the party and villains and everything. Lost, and now they're just kind of there, and it's like, oh. Yeah, no, they of course they wouldn't give up their territory. It's not like they were completely decimated. No one really had the strength to deal with them. So as everybody kind of rebuilt their strength, they're just like, okay, well, we need to learn to live on this world now. Let's see. Special guest starter. The story hooks for incorporating new players can also work for occasions when you want to bring in a player into the group for a single session. There Be Monsters. Have you read the Book of Vile Darkness? I think that's before my time. I don't. There's not a 5e edition because they don't want to bring that in. I remember the Book of Vile Darkness was like. I know it started a lot of. I know the Book of Vile Darkness started a lot of like. Fed into the D&D Satanic Panic. No worries. Get back to your homework, Frodo. I know that the Book of Vile Darkness did not help the 90s Satanic Panic of D&D. But I've not read it. I don't have a lot of old. One idea was to reverse Atlantis, an island rose from the sea, and advanced lived on it. I think D&D already has that. I'm pretty sure that's what. I'm trying to think. King Karsus. I forget what the island was called. D&D has a lot of lore. It like was held up by magic and then collapsed. Yeah, I know it's a rule book. It's an old source book from 2002 that definitely did not help the perception of D&D. Sorry, I don't know why we're moving over to the Book of Vile Darkness over on Twitch. But yeah, I haven't been able to read it yet. Let's go back to kind of. I need to like focus in, otherwise we're going to be on this page forever. Soul Survivor, yeah, special guest stars. Story hooks for incorporating can also work for occasions when you want to bring a player into the group for a single session. For example, you might have a friend visiting from out of town. You want to join your game briefly or perhaps... Yes, don't be afraid for special guests. Please have special guests. Special guests can be a lot of fun for the party and a lot of view for you. I recommend it. I've got a guy in... Frodo's about to learn about this. I've got a guy in my roster who's like, when you guys get to high level, I want to, like, if you need a villain or something, let me come in. I'm like, great, I can do that. He's just great at playing villains. But yeah, special guest stars can be a lot of fun for the party. It can mess up party dynamics. You can have, like, a party betrayal without it affecting the whole party. You can have all kinds of things happening like that. Multiple DMs. Many gaming groups switch DMs from time to time. Please switch DMs. Take a break. Breathe. Have stopping points in your campaigns where you say, okay, I need to take a couple weeks. Does somebody else want to run a game? Take your breaks. Do not burn out. Biggest problem with I had my and play as a merc for hire while he was there. Yes, just an adventurer looking for just an adventure, or like you could have a thief that's looking for like just a score, and so he's gonna rob the party. Take a break from being the DM if you need to recharge your creative juices, plan out the next arc. Yes, please take your breaks. Do not burn out. Do not burn out, please. Again, back to some of the good here. There's been a lot of bad here. You know, talking like encouraging DM PCs. What is this book thinking? Sorry, I had to deal with like giving absent players the same XP as everybody else. This is another piece of good bit here. You take the good with the bad. Take a break. Take 3 weeks. Enjoy yourself. I take holidays off. Most holidays. I think I actually skipped Easter. Take holidays off. And have everybody kind of help. If you've got other DMs, someone would like to run a one-shot. Variety series. Some groups don't want long campaigns. This is part of your session 0. This is definitely part of your session 0, guys. Oh, why is this in gaming other? Sorry, I gotta fix something. There we go. So yeah, sometimes you don't need this massive campaign. A series of smaller campaigns, linked, unlinked, running. This is part of your session 0. Concurrent campaigns. You and other DMs in your group can take turns running adventures for a few weeks or months at a time, with your campaign on hold during other DMs' turns. Some groups play multiple times each week, with different DMs running their campaigns on different days. I mean, that's just having multiple groups together, getting multiple tables. Shared worlds. Some groups take a larger established campaign setting to divide up geographically so different DMs can run separate campaigns at the setting. In theory, characters can travel from one DM's region to another's, creating continuity in the campaign even as characters might be involved in several plot lines. Rather than dividing a campaign... Okay, this is where it's getting into some difficulty here. The shared world concept with different DMs controlling different areas. This is where things get tricky. This is harder to pull off than the book thinks it is. This is a whole lot harder to pull off. It takes a lot of coordination. I can talk about this. 5e used to do something for Tomb of Annihilation, where in Adventures League, where different DMs would run different parts of the dungeon, and it is hard. What you need is a DM. The shared world could go wrong because any plans you have could be an issue due to their efforts. Yes, which means what's working is so I'm involved in a group right now that's running a Star Wars campaign in a similar way. They've got about 4 DMs, 20 players running games. What they did is, okay, each of you are part of this sect of a syndicate that are the villains of the story. You're instead of having a bunch of plot lines working, please keep your plot lines to this sector. Don't you can whatever you control your sector as long as you're profitable. The syndicate does not care, not the actual syndicate, but this crime syndicate does not care. We have somebody above that's like, okay, more groups wandering around. It's a very complicated thing and has a lot of moving parts. You need somebody at the head who's not necessarily a DM to go, okay, no, we need to organize this. You need people underneath them going, okay, for instance, in my role in there is I'm kind of I'm the one at the head of the syndicate. I'm watching, making sure that everything's running. I don't run a table. I just kind of keep an eye on it. You need somebody there to be like, okay, stop. Your campaigns are working wonderfully. Are they working together as intended? I do not recommend a shared world because it's too complicated. Joint DMs. 2 or more DMs can share the creation of a single campaign, working together to maintain continuity from session to session, and making sure that each DM adventures advance the larger story of the world and characters. And players who are also DMs are playing their characters. They shouldn't let their knowledge of the Okay, joint DMs. Let's talk joint DMs. Because this matters. Joint DMs. I'm not unopposed. Here's the thing. Some DMs are really good at different things. So my best example is there's a player that was in our group. He is a fantastic DM. He cannot do social encounters to save his life, but dungeon design, combat. He is so good at the nitty gritty of it. He just has issues with world building, and so it's like, yep. Just if you have multiple DMs, honestly, I would love to DM with him because I'm great at plotting. I'm great at storytelling. I'm great at building that larger story around. And if you have multiple DMs, please don't play in your campaign. If you're doing a joint DM, please don't play in the campaign. I had to do this for the shared world where I'm like, guys, do not play in somebody else's campaign. Because it's a nightmare. You have too much information is the issue. There are no, you're either looking forward to twists in the story that can ruin it for the rest of the players, or you can use your advantage, even not consciously, to your information to your advantage. Don't do it. Joint DMing is great. You can very much cover up each other's flaws. I run combat encounters very well, but I'm like, it's not the most fun for me. I like the larger story threads. I like the role playing. Honestly, if I could work with him and just be like, let's run like a couple one shots and be like, I'll run story wise. If you just want to run the most brutal combat encounters you can think of, go for it. You can cover up each other's faults. You can help each other get better at it. And it can help so that when two NPCs are talking to each other, it doesn't feel like you're talking to yourself. I'm not going to go too hard on that. I'm going to get some more stuff. Okay. Lead by example. Narration. This is very... Keep your description short and evocative, please. Or bad. Yes. Sometimes multiple heads can come up with a larger story than you had originally, which can be good or bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It can be so tricky. Narration. Great. We're getting in... we're into the part where this is just running the game. I'm not going to spend too much time on narration because what I'm just going to say is, again, these are all just... I'm just going to skim through this real quick because unless there's major, every DM has a different style for their narration. Every DM has their own flair for different things in a room. And because of that, you can't really play on that very well. You kind of just got to be like, okay, well, how do we run this? So what I recommend doing, what I definitely recommend doing with narration is get your style. Get your style. See where your style like falls short, and you can kind of improve it from there. Keep it brief, keep it atmospheric, draw attention, distinguish options. I'm just reading through. Don't limit options. Don't assume care. Don't assume character act. Sorry, I know I was gonna kind of breeze through this, but don't assume character actions. Don't assume actions on the character's part. For example, don't say you step into the room and look up, unless the player has already told you what they're doing. Usually what I do is if you step into the room, I say, you step into the room and this happens. It's never something that they do. It's something that happens to them. Don't assume their actions. At the same time, this can be a huge benefit to you. Don't assume that they're looking around. If you're in a dungeon and your players haven't say I'm checking for traps, they're not looking for traps. If they say, hey, you can use this to your benefit. This is a good end. Don't take it too far. If you take it too far, you could end up with a lot of problems. But not assuming character actions can be very beneficial to you if they're not looking for traps. They're not looking for secret doors. Maybe they're not looking for enemies hidden behind the wall. You can get that surprise round in. Not assuming character actions is actually very beneficial for you. Because you can have stuff trigger on the ignorance of it. My players are very cautious now because I throw traps at them. This last dungeon, they were in a desert. They got hit pretty hard in there by the traps, pitfalls, lightning bolts, and half of it was we're not paying attention. They used those pitfalls to their advantage. It's pretty cool. I think Frodo had an interesting encounter where a mummy grabbed him and threw themselves down a pit. That was a fun little bit. Mummy grappled the fighter and threw them both down a pit. Secrets and discovery. Players and their characters will uncover information that was previously unknown to them. Make sure information is complete. They need to complete. The adventure is obtainable. Do not put campaign required stuff hidden behind a skill check. If it's crucial that they need an item before they can advance in the story, do not hide it behind a skill check. Because hiding it behind a skill check means they can miss it and they can throw everything out. That also kind of railroads if it's like, ooh, everyone failed this perception check to find this ancient relic. Oh, what do you guys do? When one character separates from the rest of the party, it's usually okay to let the rest of the players know what happens, assuming the separated character will update the rest of the party when they're reunited. You might need to remind the other players that their characters aren't present. Sometimes, though, you'll want to give information to just one player. It might be information that you think the character won't want to share with the rest of the party. Yes, I leave this, but put items that could help behind skill checks, but main items are obvious. Yes, Aaron, exactly. Main items are obvious. Helpful items. Stick them behind the locked room. Ooh. That was the most traps I've ever seen since I played Tomb of Annihilation. It was a really trapped dungeon, guys. There were pitfalls, lightning bolts, mummies. There was a secret room there with some treasure. There was the paladin like thing that was in there that just wrecked the party. Yeah, no, that was a rough dungeon for them. They survived until they got out. FYI, I didn't finish that campaign. The party I was in all died to traps. It's Tomb of Annihilation. You die to traps. You die to traps. That's Tomb of Annihilation. I'm sorry. We have no control of that here. This campaign doesn't stop because you start crying. Those poor players. I hope they weren't new players. Honestly, some of my players may have noticed that my stuff kind of gets inspired in my campaign. Back to the shadows I go until I've been summoned once more. My players just going back and like, oh, I need to go. We were all, oh no. Well, that's the DM's first mistake is running new players through Tomb of Annihilation. Like, doesn't the Tomb of I'm going to look into the Tomb of Annihilation store. I got to go, man. Have a good day. Aaron, you have a great one. We will catch you later. Oh, man. See, yes, giving information to one player. Here's the thing about information to one player. What I recommend doing. You can keep the information to yourself. I use a system where I have a separate chat where when I need to talk to one player, I've got a separate voice chat that I go into. I usually do this when a player character dies, when there's important information, and I would like other players not to necessarily have the information, but give the player that has the information the chance to explain it in their own words. This can create some interesting encounters for all of the players, where they're like, okay, maybe some information got misrepresented, maybe some information wasn't correct. And we're going off of this character's word. It also gives that character a bit of a more active role in the party. Resolving outcomes. Is a D-test warranted? If the task is trivial or impossible, don't bother with a D20 test. Some players want to try the impossible anyway. This is where all the DMs have the favorite phrase that they use. Mine is, you're welcome to try. You are welcome to try. That's usually a, go ahead, DC's 40. DC's 40. If a character is actively trying to do something, D20 test, which ability does the test use? Yep. Abilities, DC, difficulty check, ability checks, proficiency. Yep, this is just core rules now. Trying again, and the player wants to try again. In many cases, failing an ability check makes it impossible to attempt the same thing again, unless the time warrants it. I allow that. If time warrants that the players can roll again, they can roll again. Group checks are a tool you can use when the party is trying to accomplish something together, and most skilled characters can cover for characters who are less good. Appropriate when one character's failure would spell disaster for the whole party. Yes, research tasks, rope together, social situation. Yes, this is where group checks come in. Again, this is all very much kind of nitty-gritty. Now we're into the nitty-gritty of the rules. And I can skim through it all. And we can really get to the stuff, because there's nothing here that's really... succeed at a cost is coming from a new system. Degrees of failure. Degrees of success. Critical success or failure. Improvised damage. Hey, improvised damage isn't bad. That's a good thing to have in there. Damage severity levels. Nuisance. Deadly. We need these kind of things. Like, these were there. This was more used for traps. This was more used for traps. Improvising answers. You can handle any curveball thrown at you. One of the cornerstones of improv is called yes and. It's based the idea. You don't always need to yes and it. Please don't always yes and. An equally important principle is no but. No but. Is there somebody here? Can I go into the wizard shop? Is there a wizard shop here where I can buy a magic? No, but you can take some downtime to try to locate a magic item to buy. But you keep the game moving forward. Keep it moving. Yes, offer an alternative. For example, magic carriers searching in a lich's lair if there's a mage's guild operating nearby city hoping to find records that mention the lich. They're going to hit you with curveballs. That's just how it is. They're going to hit you with curveballs. They're going to hit you with curveballs that you never expected. It's just part of D&D. Aids to improvisation, list NPC, random tables, okay. Running social interaction, portrayals, engaging the players. See, this is all just running the game. Which is what we want. And I'm so glad there's like this entire section. I wish it wasn't buried. This should probably be like an entire chapter in itself. Running exploration, dungeon maps, settlement maps, wilderness maps. Dang. There's a lot here. Tracking time, rounds, minutes, hours, days. Spell timer, triggered events. This is just a lot of information. Holy crap, this is a lot of information. How long have we been going? Sorry, about an hour. There's a lot here. There's just a lot here. And absorbing it all in an hour. Wow. NPC portrayals. When thinking about how to roleplay an NPC or a monster, consider one or two adjectives that best describe the creature. Knowing the creature's alignment also helps with your portrayal. Classic advice for writers holds true. Show, don't tell. Yes, show, don't tell. Their behavior can tell. It's all guidelines. I would say use common sense. Yes, use common sense. These can help guide you through that common sense. I'm looking through players who like acting thrive in social interactions to let those players take the spotlight. Yep, who involve specific characters. Yep. Also, one thing about these stakes. Running as far as social interactions, you need stakes. Do not let if you need to run a social encounter, don't let it be like, hey, you guys are at a party, you're having fun. No, there needs to be stakes involved. The reason this social encounter is happening because it matters. This isn't a vehicle for your exposition delivery. This is a conversation. Whether that be maybe this character is threatening, is threatening the players, or NPC is threatening the players. Maybe the party needs to blackmail this person. Have some stakes involved in your social encounter. Each creature controlled by the DM has one of the following attitudes towards adventurers: friendly, indifferent, or hostile. Okay. The monster behavior section offers guidance to help you determine a creature's initial attitude. Each person controlled by the DM has an attitude towards adventurers. I would not say friendly, indifferent, or hostile. I don't use those. I say friendly, indifferent, hostile. You can be hostile. Those are fine. I also add kind of disdainful. Like, you don't need to hate them. But they can recognize that they're needed and be like, I don't like them, but I have to deal with them. These are people. Have some benefits being like, okay, hey, this creature, you're dealing with this person or this creature. And it's like, okay, this creature has encountered adventurers before. Have they tried to kill it? Are they wary? Are they kind of standoffish? Why are they standoffish? Like these are characters. And sure, it doesn't need to go about that deep, but it can really help sell the event for the players. Ability checks and social. When a character uses a help action to help another influence an NPC or a monster, encourage the player of the helpful character to contribute to the conversation. Yes, you can't just say, hey, can I help this person with this? In a social interaction, you say, okay, yeah, how are you going to help? What do you do? How do you talk to this person? Are you running interference, keeping the person's friends away from them? Are you trying to help them? And the help action doesn't necessarily need to be talking to this NPC. I'm assuming like a big social. If you're at a gala, For instance, if the players are at a gala and they're talking with a minor lord or something, and they're discussing it, and somebody says, "I'd like to help this conversation." Okay, maybe it's okay. Well, how do you do that? Well, you don't necessarily have to help by saying, "I want to talk." It's like, okay, add my expertise to the conversation. No, maybe it doesn't make sense for you to butt into the conversation, but you can help in other ways. Maybe you steer their friends away. Maybe you see another hostile lord towards you that is about to spill some dirt on the party, and you go spill some wine on his shirt. You're helping the encounter by stopping problems as they come up. Using a map. Using a map. Running exploration. Dungeon maps. Yes, please make your dungeon maps. You don't have to share them with your party. I don't share them with my party. I have my party take their own notes and kind of map it out themselves. But have a map. Have a map. It's very helpful to have a map. Map of a settlement often shows terrain, cliffs, trees, streams, and so forth, in addition to buildings, bridges, and other... Yep, okay. 3 maps. Kind of dungeon map, city map, and territory maps. Often a map is intended for the DM's eyes only. You can copy portions of the DM's map to share with your players as a visual aid while omitting details that should remain hidden from them. VTTs, virtual tabletops, fog of war, dynamic lighting. I use dynamic lighting a lot. It's a lot of fun. If tracking the passage of time is important, use a time scale appropriate. Roundsman. Okay, yeah. So, triggered event. An event might occur at a specific time. A door might remain open for 1 minute after the password to open is spoken. Yep. Reinforcements might arrive. If they spend time working out a puzzle, talking to an NPC, you can estimate the time spent. I do that a lot. One of the things was in the dungeon they were fighting a mummy lord. The mummy lord had 24 hours to respawn. And so I was tracking their time through. Eventually, the players wandered out, took a long rest. I'm like, great, that gave me the mummy time to respawn. The mummy lord time to respawn. And I just think I just revealed the last dungeon to Frodo, the fact that it was only one mummy lord. And I kind of got that when that mummy lord came back and immediately knew how to... What is going on? Multi-stream platform support. What is this? Why are... Go away. Go away. Streamlabs is being difficult. Actions taking turns to investigate. Yes, kind of go to everybody. There's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. That's the thing about, like, we're getting into the stuff that's like, this is where you kind of develop your stuff. Travel. Journey stages. It can be helpful to break up a journey into stages, with each stage representing anything from a few hours journey to 10 days of travel. Journey may only have a single stage if the trip is a matter of following a clear path to a well-known destination. Journey consisting of makes for a for example. Okay, travel is... Yeah, travel is tricky. Every DM has a different way of doing travel. For example, the characters might travel along a river forest edge. Stage 1, follow a trail into the heart of the woods. Follow a trail into the heart of the forest. And then search the woods for an ancient ancient ruin. Oh, God, my eyes. You decide how to break up the journey through navigation planning stages. For each stage, note where... This is getting into some nitty-gritty stuff. I don't like 5e's travel rules. I never liked 5e's travel rules. I don't use 5e's travel rules. I use the travel rules from a Lord of the Rings game called The One Ring, where the party pick, if they know where they're going. They tell me the route that they're going to take. I draw it out on our map, at which point they nominate a navigator, a hunter, a scout, and a... What was the other one? They navigate a navigator, hunter, scout, and lookout. And how I do this is, okay, your navigator determines what happens is your navigator rolls. They make a navigation check, whether that be with cartographer's tools or with a survival check. And what this does is it determines how many days before an encounter happens. And it can be anywhere from a combat encounter to something bad or something good happening. Maybe they find a shortcut. Maybe they lose their path. Maybe there's a terrible mishap and somebody falls off a cliff. Things like that happen. And so that helps speed up travel when you're just traveling between. The issues that I found is travel can take forever if you're just doing the sandbox or random approach. What I recommend is giving your players a map. They can get lost on that map. I love how I have the PDF for that, but my brain can't figure out what action of the book talks about what the players should roll. I'm trying to figure out what the roles are to use in my own campaign. Lol. Yes. So if you have not seen the One Ring book, we're going to talk about it eventually. I'd love to react to that as well. The One Ring book has some amazing travel rules, and I use it. So what it is it talks about it briefly, but it's because you can kind of decide based on the situation what you need to roll. Navigator always makes a navigation check. And sometimes if the encounter happens, you can have a navigation check. What I do is, Frodo's about to learn a lot about how my travel happens. Navigator makes the check. I determine how many days out the encounter happens. I roll a 1d4 to determine who gets that encounter. We've only got 3 players, so the 4 represents a combat encounter. I recommend so a combat encounter. Whatever I roll, that player is now nominated for what that is. Something associated. If you're the lookout, you make a perception check. If you're the scout, you make a survival check. You're like, okay, what's out here? Hunter, same way. You're like, okay, you do these rolls and make rolls, and then you determine that. The thing is, this system was not built for 5e. It was built for the One Ring that has a different system built inside of it called the Shadow Point system. I need to still familiarize myself with the Shadow Point. As far as this travel planner, you don't need to do this. I guess it can help some players, but this is a lot of information for every travel. You're going to travel a lot. Set the pace, narrate the travel, track food and water consumption, track progress, weather. Oh, I don't know, fell off a cliff and basically died. So yeah, that happened. He nat one. He failed his check and then nat one and fell off a cliff. Happens, man. It's true. These kind of wild things happen in my games. Oh, I'm sorry, there be monsters. I didn't realize your chat got held. My auto mod is being an auto mod. I need to keep an eye on this chat over here. I'm sorry. If something gets held, chat, please let me know if something gets held. I don't have that up in front of me. And I think my mod's up to something, so I can't see it. Yeah. That kind of stuff does happen. Travel, yeah. Wind, temperature. I actually have a different table for temperature and stuff for travel so that it can get wild. Slower travelers move at a slow pace if the group's member speed is reduced to half. Characters can push themselves for travel more than 8 hours per day at the risk of tiring. At the end of each additional hour for travel beyond 8, each character must succeed a Constitution saving throw. I mean, that's normal. Search DC, foraging, yep. I'm just looking through here. I'm like, this is just standard travel stuff, and everybody has their own ways of doing travel. As a DM, you can follow the book's rules, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of things. You might decide that tracking rations is unnecessary in your game. This is one of the problems, is it really hurts it. Like, I have them keep track of their supplies, but I'm not very... unless things happen, I'm not like, oh, you're running out of food. They forage, they navigate. They've got a hunter. In the case of the Mummy Lord incident, they entered the dungeon and most of their food spoiled on the spot. Combat encounters, distant sightings. Yeah, keep it. My rule is keep it brief. Unless you're trying to make like the travel the entire campaign, keep it brief. I learned that a little late in this campaign. Just keep it very brief. If they know where they're going, just run through it. Running combat, rolling initiative, tracking hit points, using and tracking conditions, miniatures. This is just the usual stuff. Line of sight cover. I'm looking to see if there's anything. I'm trying to see if there's anything in here that's specific. Like, again, this is all just nitty-gritty rules. And nitty-gritty rules, we could delve into it, but it's really going to be boring. So I'm just kind of going through it, seeing if there's anything in there that's like, okay, this is obviously wrong. Monsters casting spells. It's important that players can tell when their characters' opponents are casting spells, giving them the opportunity to cast counterspell. Yes. What I do is, unless, like, for instance, my party doesn't have counterspells. So not readily available to them. So a lot of times what I do is I'm like, hey, I specifically say he's going to cast a spell. And if the players go, okay, I want to counterspell. If a spell has verbal, the monster might chant, boldly proclaim, or hiss mystic syllable. Yes, so I wouldn't say you have to do that, but you definitely state to your players in combat, hey, he's casting a spell. Because some monsters can just flat ignore components, which means that can throw players off. Keep it moving. Don't repeat game states. When players do something, change their tactic, go situation, don't respond by putting things back to the way they were before. If a character takes disengage, move away from a group of monsters, don't respond by having those same monsters unless it makes sense for the monsters to chase. The battle is changing. I recommend a book called The Monsters Know What They're Doing. Have intelligent monsters behave like intelligent monsters. I talk about this. And the character's victory is almost certain. You can simply have the monster drop dead. I mean, we all fudge hit points every once in a while. That's just what it's talking about. End hostilities. Yep, a sapient monster might parlay, try to add a combatant, add excitement to consider adding a combatant. Maybe monstrous predator wanders onto the scene, are locked in battle with another foe. Maybe the noise ongoing battle attracts the attention of nearby stuff. I'm going through here and I'm like, there's not, like, again, this is all just very much, this is all very much like nitty-gritty rules. You'll read through it once, you'll get an understanding for it, and you'll go from there. Flight, avoiding a fight or ending a fight. Yep, parlay, character advancement. Here we are, character advancement. Milestones versus XP. Both of them have their benefits. Milestones works very well, but you have to be able to keep it engaging. Don't just put them so close together. You can't have your level ups too close together, and you can't have them too far apart. They have to make narrative sense. You also can't let in milestone, you can't let your players know like about when the level up is going to happen. But you also can't let it go too long, because your players are going to start asking, hey, when are we going to level up? If it feels, the benefit of XP is they can see, okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to leveling up. My players have the ding. They ding and level up. Every once in a while I'll joke and I'll play the, I'll also play the Final Fantasy level up sound. Oh, that's not what I was trying to put up. But yeah, milestone can be tricky, but it might work for you. In lower, like, faster campaigns, maybe you want 1 to 5 over the course of 5 sessions. Everybody levels up every session. Definitely go for it. Otherwise, it might bog down. I recommend XPs is probably a good way to do it if you can balance your encounters. Variant. As a variant, you can require players to spend time between adventures training or studying before they gain the benefits of a new level. It slows the passage of time in game, which helps support a more realistic, gritty tone. If you choose this option after earning enough experience to attain, character must train for a number of days before gaining the class features associated. I generally make this rule: you don't level up until you get back into town or you're out of danger. You don't level up mid dungeon. I give all my XP at once after the dungeon is going. Although training time does seem interesting. Again, it slows the game pace, gives them something to spend their gold on. At higher levels, that can be very beneficial. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess in a slower campaign, maybe. Session-based advancement, story-based advancement. Okay. Chapter 2! We're out of there, and we're kind of into our toolbox. Let me see if there's anything in here. How are we feeling, class? Are we ready to move to Chapter 3? Do we want to take a break? All right, so I need to grab some water. It is currently noon. I'm gonna go grab something quick to eat. Everybody, get up, stretch, go for take 5. Class, we will begin lesson 3 in about 5 minutes after I get back. Take about 5 minutes, hang out, stick around, chat, do whatever, but stretch. Get up and stretch. Don't just sit around. Enjoy yourselves. I will be right back. Yes, before I go. Yes, Frodo, go touch grass. What are you doing, Miss Precious? Huh? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Hey, what are you doing? You're gonna be loud. Yes. You're gonna be loved. Yes, you're gonna be loved. No, you don't get a choice. No, you don't get the choice. No, the choice isn't yours. No, you don't get the option. You get to be loved. You get to be loved. Whether you like it or not, you get to be loved. Yeah. No, you get to be loved. You get to be loved. Whether you like it or not, you get to be loved. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you get to be loved. All right, did everybody go touch grass and have a good 5-minute break? I hope everybody did. All right, class, open your textbooks to chapter 3. DM's Toolbox. This will be on the test. This will be on the test along with your 30-page essay on character development and why DMPCs are bad. All right, first of all, the DM's Toolbox. I have an entire show about this. I do not call it the DM's Toolbox. This is not the DM's Toolbox. I have plenty of tests. I think I'm good. Don't worry, this is an elective class. I'm not on a grade. I grade on a curve. Plus, I'm tenured, so do with that what you will. Do with that information what you will. Yeah, so I don't call it this. I call it our arsenal. I'm a little more militaristic than your average DM. Oh, hi, Precious. Nice point credit class. Let's go. We're being interrupted by a pupper. Are you joining the class? Huh? Precious, are you joining the class? No, you just want my food. I have some chicken here, so she's after the food. We got a nice little husky right behind me. Hi. Hi. But yes, so I call it our arsenal because you can always pull. I'm more militaristic than your average GM. Forget the arsenal. This is my game master's arsenal. It's its own show. I talk about the monsters. Okay, actions indicate alignment. You might think they're good and profess to believe that senseless slaughter is wrong, but if that character engages in senseless slaughters, they aren't what they doesn't. Yes, alignment actions indicate alignment. You can change alignment. I talk about this. You can change alignment. You can change alignment. It's just what it is. For instance, I talk about Dimmy in the pirate campaign I was in. I thought I was playing. I thought I was playing chaotic neutral. I was like, I'm playing chaotic. He's chaotic, but he's not necessarily evil. And then the DM was like, no, dude, what you're doing is evil. And I'm like, oh, so I am chaotic evil. And that can change. Good and evil can cooperate. Good and evil characters can share common goals, though they likely different tactics to pursue those goals. This can also make good dynamics. If your players talk about it beforehand, this can make some funny dynamics where the chaotic evil rogue and the lawful good paladin are best friends for some reason. Or their entire shtick is that they don't get along. You can do any number of things with alignment. Alignment is a recommendation. Like everything in this book, alignment is a recommendation. I got some rice here, so. Okay, when good and evil aligned adventures coexist in the same party, they're likely to have disagreements with the main players. And yes, and ensure fun for all. Yep, that's very talking. I mean, that's in the same chat that they're talking about. Planes and alignment. The outer planes are realms where alignment manifests into reality. When a creature explores the outer planes, they experience those realms differently depending on their alignment. That has to be in the campaign settings. I don't know why they're bringing it up here. I do not know why they're bringing it up here. I feel like that is stuff that needs to be that the campaign setting would cover. Monster alignment, starting attitude, personality, yep. Organization ethos, it can be useful to assign an alignment to an organization. Yes, or at least a basic rule set for your organization. They don't need to be major. Chases. I'm not even go into chase because I'm not convinced that chasing dang. No. I'm reading through this real quick. Do not chase. Here's the thing about chasing in D&D. It is not well done. What I would recommend to do for the chase. Sorry, I got to deal with me eating lunch while I'm doing this. For the chase, find other rules. I'm sorry, find other rules. This rule, this does not make sense. This just does not make any sense. 5e's chase rules are horrendous. Please find different ones. And chases aren't the most fun thing to do in D&D anyway. Background, abilities, yeah, so designing an NPC, creating a creature. You can change the superficial details of a creature's appearance however you like, and you can alter any of the following pieces of its stat block. No, do not say, hey, you can edit size and creature type, ability scores, languages, proficiencies. Just say you can edit the monster as you see fit. Don't say you can edit any of these. No, you can edit as you see fit. As you see fit. You can change all the rules if you want. Maybe change whatever you want. You know, if a vampire, if you decide that vampires are going to live during the day, they live during the day. Traits. This is nice. This is nice to have an easy list of traits for your players. This is nice to have just an easy list of traits for your players. Chases are hard, man. I once had an encounter where my players were chasing a rival NPC along rooftops of Neverwinter. Tried the D&D Beyond rules, and it was painful. The D&D rule set was not made for chasing. You're going to need to find something else. Chasing sucks. Hey, creating magic items. You can modify these magic items or create new ones. Oh yeah, just creating a magic item. Be careful with this one. Now we're getting into the dangerous territory of homebrew. We are getting very dangerously into the territory of homebrew magic items, which are notoriously broken. Notoriously broken. Be careful of that. That's all I can say about, like, all of this is fine. Altering capabilities, altered form, altered damage types, combining items, yep. Like, you can do everything to create a unique magic item. Or you can make something that does something completely off. For instance, my bard in my campaign has a lyre that, not a lyre, a mandolin that keeps manifesting new and new abilities as he goes, as he gets more strings for it. Because he's getting them from the gods. And so it's like, yeah, no, you're getting more and more abilities to fuel with your creation. I can't talk about what I've got planned here for Frodo and Wanderer, but it's in there and it's pretty awesome. Attunement, creating a spell. Yes, this also goes into the dangerous homebrew stuff. Healing spells. Curses, magical contagions. Curses are interesting. Curses can create very interesting. I would just say try not to make the curse like too detrimental to where the character doesn't work anymore. Environmental curses. Some locations are also suffered with evil. Anyone who lingers there is burdened with a curse. Demonic possession, for one example of an environment. I'm sorry, I just realized that this game has decided that demonic possession is an environmental curse. Can't wait for that. It'll be fun. Still don't know what pieces are missing. I'll probably have to check. I think you're only missing the pommel. Or do you have the pommel? You have the hilt. You have the sword. I think all you're missing is the pommel. That's funny. Whenever the possessed creature rolls a 1 on a d20 test, it takes control of the creature and determines the creature's behavior thereafter. Oh, that's actually kind of fun. I think it's the blade, right? Frodo did have the blade. Yeah, you're missing the blade. Magical contagions. Infected with magical contagion. Okay, this is so this is more stuff that you can just throw at your players. Again, death. 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 Oh no, we're talking about death. Let's talk about death. Adventures involve risk with consequences as catastrophic as death. I would say as consequences as catastrophic as fates worse than death. Character death can be an emotionally charged situation. It might even be a hard limit for some players. I do not let death be a hard limit. If death is a hard limit, I say then my campaign isn't for you. Players need to be able to die. Characters need to be able to die. If that means like, hey, you're uncomfortable, that's all right. Maybe that's something we need to work through. Death must be fair. I would say death has to be believable. Death doesn't have to be fair. Death does not need to be fair. It can be unfair that this monster had a stronger attack than you thought. It can be fair that, it can be believable that you didn't know it had this ability at its disposal. Death doesn't need to be fair, but it needs to be believable. Don't cheat in the monster's favor. Rolling dice in front of the players when a situation is especially deadly is one way to communicate that you're not cheating in the monster's favor, or singling out a single player character for punishment. Yes, that is also another thing. Do not make it sound targeted. I always recommend rolling combat out in the open anyway. That way your players know, like, hey, I'm sorry, you're at the dice's mercy. Don't make it personal. Don't punish a character for a player's behavior. I will say it again for the people in the back. Don't punish a character for the player's behavior. Provide fair warning. Let characters face the consequences of their foolish actions, but make sure you give enough clues to recognize self-destructive actions. This simple. Are you sure you want to do that? All right. My term is usually, all right, your funeral. Dice gods are fickle creatures. Yes, the dice are very fickle. Remember that. They are super fickle creatures. Fair encounters. Your players have to know that you're fair in designing encounters. It's fine to throw tough encounters at them, and sometimes to let them face monsters they can't beat, but it's not fair. Players have no way to know they can't win a fight. Yeah, I usually give this, I don't have one-shot attacks. I have potential one-shot attacks where it's like, hopefully you roll low against the Dragon's Breath. Hopefully I roll low or you roll high against the Dragon's Breath attack. And it's like, okay, no, you need to make the decision when you need to run. You need to make the decision that this thing is beyond us. Again, I'm not saying death has to be fair. I don't agree that death has to be fair. It doesn't have to be fair. You have to be fair. When you deal out death in your game, you need to be fair about it. And we have our ban for the day. Yeah. It's got to be believable. You've got to try to be as fair as you can, but the death itself does not have to be completely fair. If they're facing an encounter they can't win and they had a chance to run, they die. The ban of shame. I need to put a custom message in there when I ban somebody. You have been kicked from the table. Scaling lethality. You can adjust lethality of your campaign using the encounter building gap. And you can adjust that in the ban of shame. Bonk. Create new characters on moment's notice. Consider high difficulty encounters over and over with little opportunity for rest between to create more lethal adventures. Conversely, using only low difficulty is less likely to lead to character death. I would say this as far as scaling lethality. You've technically, number by number, attack by attack, 5e is one of the most deadly editions of D&D. Rules as written, based on attack power of creatures, based on health pools. Sure, it seems like you have a lot more health, and this sounds like a lot. But number-wise, rules as written, 5e is the most deadly Dungeons and Dragons experience, other than I think first and second edition, early TTRPG stuff. But yeah, numbers as written. This is intended to be super deadly. Defeated, not dead. If you and your characters agree to avoid character death in your game, you might consider an alternate where a character who would otherwise die instead defeated. Comatose, sudden awakening. Death is hard, dude. When a character is reduced, death scenes. Memory that inspires hope, courage. When a character's, one or more rounds of combat with nothing to do but roll death saving throws. One way to keep player involved in the game is to prompt some role playing along with each death save. What I do is What I do with death saves is, first and foremost, you roll it in secret. You roll it with me. You roll it behind the screen. You GM roll it to me. You tell me, like, I don't share the death save information. Yeah, I don't share the death save information. It creates some interesting combat situations where you're like, oh, how close is he to being dead? I don't know. You can try a healing spell. Do you want to play whack-a-mole with him? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, no, don't share that information. It creates some amazing tension. What if everyone dies? TPK! TPK! Look, I will say this. You are not a true DM until you've TPK'd the party. Until you've TPK'd your first party, you are not a DM. It's just a rite of passage. The TPK is a rite of passage. It happens. It's going to happen. You know, and you'll hear that. So every once in a while, if you've like seen some of my sessions when things are getting desperate, you might every once in a while like I see it when I'm like watching some of the people who watch the stream. I can just hear them going TPK, TPK, and it's like some people want TPKs. TPKs can be amazing. What if everyone dies? A fresh start. Roll up new characters. Divine Council. Arguing about the character's fate. They must convince them. Stuff to be like, okay, you guys are dead, but you're not actually dead. Rescue mission. It's hard. TPKs can be done on doors. We're going from death to doors. Oh no. Death to doors. Be afraid, chat. Be very afraid. We're talking about doors. There's a lot of rules for doors here. Look at these doors, man. Glass door, metal door, stone door. Wow, we've got like an entire page dedicated to doors. These are often your worst enemy because your players will never know what to do with the door. They might think it's trapped. They might think it's locked. Half the time, a party will never try the handle. The first thing they do is they assume it's locked. It's great. If you have a closed door in front of somebody, most of the time they assume it's locked. Raise his hand warily. I have TPK'd my players once with a bunch of crackheads. Luckily for them, they all stabilized somehow and managed to survive. TPKing the party, man. I love it. Secret doors, locked doors, barred doors, portcullises. Dungeon quirks. Mapping a dungeon. Designing dungeon rooms. Guard post. Dungeon decay. Ooh, this is interesting. Sorry. I'm kind of going through this because a lot of this is just like nitty gritty numbers and everything for rules, and I'm like, we can avoid a lot of that while we're talking through it. You know, class you're expected to understand this behind when you read for your homework, and of course it will be on the review. I want to talk about dungeon decay, states of ruins. I like this. Perilous. The area is dangerously worn and prone to collapse. Any impacts or damage to the structure have a 50% of causing a collapse. I like this for dungeon building. To let you know how decrepit a dungeon actually is. I like that. Areas within 50 being difficult terrain are choked with rubble, neglected. It's a hazard. Brown mold, green slime, or yellow mold. Hazards. Ooh, hazards. They have hazards. Environmental effects. Ooh, new environmental effects. Dead magic zone. Dead magic zone is an area where the fabric of magic is torn. The effect is the same as the anti-magic field spell. Whoo. My gears are turning. Dungeon environmental effects. Deep water. Pressure. Extreme cold. I actually have other rules for extreme cold that I use. They're just not best the way they are. Extreme heat. Frigid water. Ooh, we get into the good stuff. I think I'm about to steal. You think you're about to steal? Yes, class. We are talking about the good stuff here. Environmental effects. High altitude. Wow, they actually have high altitude? Holy crap. See, the others are stuff, but now we're getting to the cool stuff. Look, TikTok can't see it because heavy precipitation, high altitude. But taxing for most creatures because of the reduced amount of oxygen. Each hour a creature spends traveling at high altitude counts as 2 hours for how far it can travel. Creatures can become acclimated to high altitude by spending 30 days at this No, wait, it's 30 days. Sorry, I'm looking up high altitude acclimation. Here's the thing. I live in an area where we are always acclimated to high altitude. Frodo can attest to this. We live like, what is Salt Lake's altitude? We live at 4,000 foot altitude. Between 4,000 and 8,000 feet in the valley. So we live at some higher altitude. We camp at, I think, 12,000. $10,000. We camp at 10,000. And that's still on the lower side. So I'm used to high altitude. So this kind of altitude sickness, yeah, no, I get it. I think Frodo gets it too. Like he spent some time in Salt Lake. He didn't get to go up into the mountains, I don't think, but he experienced our altitude. He lives by the sea. He's a lowlander. And what do you want, precious? Hi, Pupper. Aw, hi, Pupper. Is it because I've still got food? Huh? Yeah, I've got food. So I'm your friend. The dog's back to begging. But yeah, we have altitude. I can't believe they added that in. But not on a daily basis. Yeah, you're one of those lowlanders. Living at high altitude is really nice. Like, camping at 10,000 feet and that being like an hour away is great. And routinely being like, we'll head up to Park City, and that's like a 4,000 altitude change. Actually, is it? What is the altitude in Park City? Yeah, about 4,000 change. We change altitudes all the time. Going from like, and so we're just kind of up here. We're just kind of mountain people. We're used to altitude changes. But 30 days acclimation. No, it takes. I guess to be purely acclimated, 30 days makes sense. But I'm like, we recommend. So when we travel with people who come camping with us, especially if they're from like lower areas, sea level, we're like, okay, we're gonna take a day in Salt Lake, take a day when we get up there. Altitude sickness, man. We've seen it a number of times where somebody's like comes up from nowhere, gets sick, and then is like, I don't know why I'm sick. And I'm like, no, sit down, take a breath. You got to realize you live at 500 feet elevation. You're at 9,000 feet. Yeah, we camp at about 10,000 feet, which is nice. Nice and cool up there, too. Planar effects. Certain planes of existence and areas on the material plane affected by them have supernatural effects on creatures within them. Several examples are presented below. Planar effects. This is the villainy that I can pull now. Acaronian bloodlust. The plane of Acheron rewards a creature for harming other creatures by imbuing it with the strength to keep fighting. While in Acheron or region under its influence, a creature gains temporary hit points equal to half its hit point maximum whenever it reduces a creature to negative. When I was there, it wasn't too bad. Even nearby parkour gym a few times while I was there. Nice, you acclimated quickly then. You acclimated quickly. Some people acclimate very quickly, some people don't. I know people that never acclimated, that have been here forever, and they still get altitude sick. I think you would have had the worst of it if the original plan had gone through and we went camping like the plan originally was. Which for the bachelor party was to go up into our mountains, which was, I think the spot I had picked was at 12,000 feet. Yeah, that would have done it. Arcadian vitality. On the plane of Arcadia and in regions where the influence is felt, creatures benefit from supernatural vitality, immunity to frightened and poison condition. Plane of Mount Celestia, regions where its influence is felt, creatures are blessed with pervasive benefits of the plane. See, I'm liking this. These are some good ones. Winds of Pandemonium are common in Pandemonium, blah, blah, blah. A creature makes DC Wisdom save after each hour spent among the howling winds. Ooh, they gain exhaustion every hour. Finishing a long rest doesn't reduce a creature's exhaustion unless it escapes the winds. That sounds fun. Thin Ice, Wild Magic Zone. Fear and mental stress. When a character is subjected to an effect... fear is pretty easy. Fear effects is pretty easy. Like, make it believable. If your character has... Like, you talked about your character having a fear of ghosts, you can roll the fear stuff. Alrighty, I gotta head out for stuff, even if we get into the good stuff, lol. I'll watch later and becomes a VOD. Anyway, see you later. See ya! We'll see ya for D&D. We're probably gonna be... We're pretty close to wrapping. We've been at it for a couple hours. And I've got... And Oblivion came out, so I'm like... Oh, plus there's the event going on for Monster Hunter. Mental stress. Okay, so yeah, so these are all just optional stuff that you can put in. Firearms and explosives. Yeah, I got the bird bat. Firearms. I love that there's just a dwarf with a shotgun. Oh, there's just a dwarf with a shotgun. Examples of modern and futuristic firearms, if you can make them available for purchase. I do not recommend using the firearm rules in D&D. There's a reason for this. Again, this is another rule where I'm just like, don't do this. Other systems can use firearms better than that. Firearm tactics are different than tactics in D&D. Cover, throne. One rule set that I use is Stargate 5e has some great rules for firearms. I recommend using those. Explosive bombs, dynamite sticks, grenades, grenade launchers, gunpowder. Now we're into the gods. This is just lore stuff about building your pantheon. For building a pantheon, I recommend looking at historical pantheons. Understanding historical pantheons will help you build yours. I have the idea of epitaphs in mind that I've integrated very well, in that the gods are worshipped in multiple capacities. Also understand why your gods are worshipped. Is it more to ward them off, or is it to welcome them? There's so many ways you can do this, and creating a religion for your own pantheon is up to you. I recommend doing your research. Make them believable. For longer campaigns. For a shorter campaign, you can just have deities. Or there's an entire pantheon in this book that you can take. Hazards. Ah, hazards. Sorry, I'm still eating. Still having lunch. Unlikely to cause serious harm. Okay, this is a new one. Hazards. Let's see. Brown mold. Resembles a furry light brown carpet. This fungus feeds on warmth, drawing heat from everything around. One patch of brown mold covers 10-foot square. The temperature within 30 feet is always frigid. Enters a space within 5 feet of the mold for the first time. Starts its turn. Their Constitution saving throw against cold damage. Brown mold has immunity to fire, and any source of fire brought within 5 feet of it causes the mold to instantly expand across the surface and toward the fire, creating a new patch that covers a 10-foot square. Okay, that's cool. Mold exposed to an effect that deals any amount of cold damage is destroyed immediately. I'm starting to like hazards. I'm starting to like hazards. These hazards are pretty cool, man. Fireball fungus. A fireball fungus is a small inanimate mushroom that can grow anywhere fungi are found in abundance. Its luminous orange cap shreds bright light around 15 foot and dim light for an additional 15 foot. AC 10, HP 6, and immunity to psychic damage. When it drops to 0, it explodes as if a fireball spell had been centered on it. Yes, absolutely yes. These need to be integrated into my campaign. Next dungeon is going to have hazards. It's going to be great. Whether it be brown mold, I'm going to find something that works. Green slime devours flesh, organic material. One patch of green slime covers 5-foot square. It has blind sight, movement below itself. Beyond that, it can't move. A creature aware of the slime's presence can avoid it being stuck by it with DC 10 save. A creature that comes into contact with green slime takes 5 1d10 acid damage. Creature takes the damage again at the start of each until the slime is scraped off, requiring an action. Or destroyed. Against wood or metal, slime does... Yeah, okay. That's actually pretty cool. I'm really liking this. That's actually really cool. Inferno. Whenever an uncontrolled fire spreads, it can create an inferno that quickly engulfs creatures, object... Oh, wow. Honestly, hazards, we needed hazards. Like, we needed hazards. Hazards are really cool. I highly encourage, like, reading through the hazards, finding what works for you. Razor vine. Plant that grows as wild tangles and hedges, clings to the sides of buildings and other surfaces. 10 foot by 10 foot wide, 5 foot thick. AC, yeah. Okay, when a creature comes into contact with for the first time on a turn, must or take 5. Okay, river Styx. The river Styx courses through the lower planes. Tasting or touching its waters can shatter a creature's intellect and personality, as well as strip away its memory. Certain fiends are immune. Unless immune to the river's effects, a creature that drinks from the Styx enters the river, starts its turn, and makes a 19 psychic damage and can't cast spells or take the magic action for 30 days. Wow. The effect can be ended by greater restoration, heal, or wish spell. If the effect isn't ended after 30 days, the effect becomes permanent and it loses all of its memories. That is brutal. After 24 hours, becomes a harmless, foul-tasting liquid. Arcanoloths, night hags, and other fell creatures might know rituals that can prolong its water potencies at your discretion. Holy hazard. Rocks slide. Rocks fall. Everyone dies. It's Rock's fault. Vicious vine. Lower level hazards. Yellow mold. Yellow mold grows in dark places, and one patch covers 5 foot square. If touched, the mold ejects clouds of spores that fills 10 foot cube. Any creature in the area or take poison damage and have the poisoned condition for one. While poisoned this way, the creature takes 1d10 at the start of each of its turns. The creature repeats the save at the end of its turns. It's finding effect on it, ending the effect on itself. Success, daylight. Direct sunlight or any amount of fire damage destroys the patch of yellow mold. That's actually pretty cool. Hazards, man. Those are so cool. Like, I give the book crap. It gives some bad advice, but hazards are cool. Hazards are really useful. And having like a bunch of sample hazards to be like, you can just put these in your dungeons. Okay, marks of prestige, lands, letters of recommendation, middle, special rights, titles. Yep, training. Mobs. This is a way to make help you speed when resolving outcomes with large groups of monsters. Yeah, groups, just swarms of creatures. Not NPCs. Yes, detailed stuff to help you with NPCs. Personality with NPCs. An NPC tracker. I don't recommend. It's a lot for an NPC tracker. NPCs is party members. Again, I use the Wallflower Warrior a lot for my NPCs. Recurring NPCs loyalty. Oh, there are rules. NPC's loyalty is measured on a numerical scale from 1 to 20, equal to the highest charisma among all adventurers in the party, and starting loyalty is half that number. Keep track of loyalty score secret, and NPCs increases 1d4 if other party members help the NPCs achieve. Okay, yeah. So this can help like characters own or operate a sailing or similar. You can use these rules to track the loyalty of the crew. Or the ships, if at least half the crew's loyalty drops to 0 during the voyage, crew turns hostile in stages of mutiny. Huh. Poison. I don't think the poison rules have really changed. Oh no, they added harvesting. You can harvest poison now. Check using a poisoner's kit. Okay, I'm alright with that. Torpor, bunch of new poisons, renown, rank, settlements. Wow, just a bunch of tables for you to use. That's good. That's good that they're giving you just a bunch of tables that you can use now. Tavern names, you know, just double tab table to help you just randomly develop a name. Current calamities. Local leaders. This is great for if you need to throw something on the fly. Siege equipment. Siege equipment. Suspended cauldron. Mango, no. Mango now. Ram, siege tower, suspended cauldron, keg launcher. Sounds very dwarven. A keg launcher sounds very dwarven. Flamethrower, coach, trebuchet, supernatural gifts, blessings. Blessings, I think you got to be careful with blessings. Blessings are very powerful. And you can see this based on just the first blessing that you see. Blessings, you can create more blessings by mimicking the properties of a wondrous item. They have to be rare. For instance, like Blessing of Health, Constitution increases by 2 and increases max Constitution by 2. You have advantage on saving throws against spells. +1 to AC, Understanding. Blessing of Valhalla grants you the power to summon spirit warriors as if you were blowing a silver horn of Valhalla. Blessing of Weapon Enhancement. Blessing of Wound Closure. Charms. Charms can be received many different ways. For example, if it finds an eldritch secret and might be infused with the magic of a charm. Okay, I'm actually alright with this. These can create some interesting gifts for your players without specifically needing to give them a magic item. Like, for instance, Charm of Animal Conjuring, Charm of Dark Vision, Charm of Feather Falling. These are very simple. They're not as strong as Blessings, but they're good. Okay, now Traps. I think you're making traps very complicated. They're not talking, and these are just simple traps. Poison needles. I use these. Rolling stones. Yeah. Okay. I think class, this is a good time for us to wrap up. Chapter 3 was all the stuff that's in your arsenal, the stuff you can just pull out, tables to help, various things like that. There's not as much there to just cover and break down, so we will be moving on from it. We will be getting into Chapter 4, please. We'll be getting into Chapter 4 a bit later, probably next week, next Tuesday, or next Thursday, most likely Tuesday. Unless I'm doing something else on Tuesday. I think I'm just going through this on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, please be aware. Go ahead and return your books to the front of the room. Go ahead and submit your assignments online, and we will be back. I might as well call this Dungeon Mastering 101.